Hey, we're going to start this video in a second, but our podcast we've been talking about is live. It's on the website, www.whitetailhabitat.solutions.com, and it can be listened to anywhere that you can listen to your favorite hunting podcast. Urge you to check it out. Now, you guys might get sick of it, but we talk about these cold fronts coming down the pipe, and I urge you to go hunt them, and I urge you to hunt differently than you otherwise would during the rut, because let's face it, not everyone can hunt whenever you want. I understand that. I still think you can slant your weekends. A lot of people can. I know there's certain jobs where you have to put in for your vacation time in January, and there's no flexibility there. But then I hear no flexibility, but then I hear with those same people, yeah, I can trade days with this person, that person, even for a Friday and Monday, just to start vacation and end vacation different times. And that's why it's so important. But you have to get out. This is one coming right now. This is the best time of the year. You guys have to be able to hunt and get out for this. And that reminds me, Dylan.
Yo.
We're always talking about when we put these videos out. It's Monday. Can we put this one out on Thursday?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, cool.
Let's do it.
But you're watching this on Thursday, per Dylan's permission, but approval. I'll put it that way. But it is critical because it affects the way you hunt. It affects the quality of the hunt. And I'm gonna flip back. I am completely unshaven. I feel disheveled. I drove 20 hours straight from Saskatchewan back so that I could hunt this morning. So imagine driving all the way back, getting an hour's sleep in a hotel parking lot, which isn't great sleep, and still plugging away, getting home in time to pick up Jackson, and then sleep for however many hours and get up and go hunt Wisconsin this morning. That's what I wanted to get back and make sure I had time to. So it's just been whirlwind. And even up in Saskatchewan was incredible. The place we were at was a lot of history. It was Northway Outfitters. Buddy's been the guide and outfitter there since 1985 is when he started. And Bill Jordan, Monster Bucks, all that stuff from the past, Dick Idle, anything you watched back there in the 90s from Saskatchewan was probably from Buddy's. And it's incredible history. I sat in a stand location, blind location, where they've had that location and shot dozens, of booners, of 160 to 170, and then 180, 190. They've shot bucks over 200, going back for 35 years. And so when you think about it, the history, I've sat in those blinds. This one's here for 30 years. This one's been here for 25 years. Those locations, they changed the blinds. But one thing that was really disappointing about the trip is the weather's about 3 weeks behind. They usually get their first snow by mid-October at the latest, and they haven't had their first snow yet. And we're sitting on, they're getting it with this front here, coming like today, tomorrow. But they hadn't had the first snow. Their first frost was a week ago, and they usually get a first frost in early October. So the waterfall haven't been down from the ice fields up north. They usually hunt those. And the big waterfall push is right now. Last week should have been 3-4 weeks ago. So everything's behind. So for that, the deer weren't moving that much like they normally do, and the rut's not started yet. So it made for some really tough hunting. I mean, dark to dark, not seeing a lot of deer. And it was all based on that weather. And the best days we had, the week before, was in the 70s. And we're in northern Saskatchewan, northern whitetail range anyways, and in the 70s. And then this week that we were hunting, it dropped down got up to 54, 60 one day, really super windy, unfortunately, too. And it did get down to where it was 36 one day and 39 another day. It was high teens, low 20s. In their terms of Celsius, it was 8 below, 10 below Celsius. And so it got to some pretty cold morning temps and some cold days, and that's when we saw a lot of activity. And then it warmed right back up. Once the winter sets in, or the winter weather, and they get all the snow and the cold, then it's consistent for them. And it's hard to go an entire 6 days there and not see at least a 160-inch buck. And my standards are pretty high, even up there. And Jen shot a beautiful buck, but it was tough. 50% success still on the hunters. There's 3 hunters that shot one and 3 that didn't out of 6. But it was really determined by the weather. The quality of the hunt was just honed in by the weather. It's 3 weeks behind, normal. And so I saw it even in a place like that has monster bucks and where dreams are made. And it's been a dream of mine for a long time. It was hard that last minute. You kept thinking, I'm going to shoot something. I'm going to shoot something. When it came down to that last minute and I didn't, I realized how much, I love being there. Love seeing the scenery. Every stand was like what I thought of when I watched old Saskatchewan hunting videos from back in the day. And it was Shockey, Jim Shockey, some of those videos back in the day. It was completely different from down here in every way. You know, the way you have to hunt, the way it's different. We had 25-minute ATV rides into some blinds, let alone the 25-minute truck ride to get there down dirt roads and paved roads. So completely different. But even in a place like that where you have monster bucks, really big bucks, I mean 200-inch plus, there's a couple 187, 196 on the wall right there. And so just, those are just some of, you know, a few of the bucks that they shot that were big. Completely different area, but it's still affected by weather, and your hunt will be this weekend, and that's a good thing. We're getting into prime rut in most locations, and so I wanted to talk about that. This is a major cold front coming through. We're going to be hitting highs in the low 70s around our area. We're in southeast Minnesota, and this front will shift all the way to the northeast, take about 2 to 3 days to get all the way over to the east coast. As I said, it's already hitting Saskatchewan, where we're way west and way north. It's already hitting there right now. Those big winds were starting on Saturday. It went through Sunday, so they're set up for this week. Their opening day, I think, is on Tuesday for actual rifle season. We're up there for primitive, muzzleloader or bow. Their opener is Tuesday, tomorrow, when we're shooting this on here on Monday. So it's sweeping across not only our country, but Canada, all the way across, and it'll greatly affect whitetails. There'll be a lot of whitetails that die because of this front. And we're looking at, again, we're starting here with that front on Friday. It might be Sunday if you're out towards the East Coast, or even into Monday. Like I said, up there, it's Wednesday, you know, that's really dropping. We're seeing overall, from beginning to end of this, over about a 3-day period, highs from 71, you know, low 70s to low 40s. Huge temp drop. And it's not the ultimate temperature that's making the difference. It's that change in temperature and the basically the extremity of the weather to get that temperature to drop, whether it's big winds, big rains, big snows. I'm sure there'll be a mix of all depending on where you're at. Thunder, lightning even. And so big temperature drop. That means that, especially when you get to an overall temperature, you know, like if you're 80 some degrees in Louisiana and it drops to 65, deer feel that temperature change and they need to consume calories and energy to stay warm and to survive. And it's the same with when we get down into our daytime highs of 30s and daytime high of 40. It's getting down the teens at night in the 20s. Deer burn more energy and they need, so just that temperature change itself will make deer feed more, move more, concentrate their efforts towards food, concentrate their herding up, they'll concentrate themselves. They'll actually, bigger herds in grouped up areas where they can surround themselves around good food, good cover, that they can have thermal protection, they can get out of the wind. That's the most important, not be in the sun, but get out of the wind. And then of course hit that food. But then at the same time, when you have weather taking place over a 3-day period, and you have extremity of weather with it, those deer are really socked in. They don't get up and just go feed out in the open hardwoods on public land and feed on acorns and leaves and you just have free range. They're pinned down in their bedding areas. They really can't move around. They can't see. You know, up there we saw bear, wolves, coyotes. We saw all these predators. And the deer, of course, are very wary. Wolves, probably mostly of them all. It's real quick. We actually had a bear come in and pound on the top of Jen's blind one day, which was crazy. And she ended up 2 days later shooting her whitetail out of that blind. So she had to conquer her fears and go back. That's for another story. But bottom line is, when they can't hear, see, or smell, because of the wind, high wind, and lots of thunder, lightning, or rain, or snow coming down, and all that noise associated with it, trees branching, branches blowing all over the place, dropping in the woods, then they burn energy, stress. They can't get the food they want, so they're burning energy. They have to stay warm. They're burning energy. Triple threat of stress, missing feedings, and then temperature dropping. And when it happens over a 3-day period, they're ready to go. And when you combine that during the rut, it's like the rut already has a fire burning, whether it's a light fire because it's warm weather or a big fire. But this is going to just pour gas on it and get it going. So we're really looking at this weekend being in early November. Early November is peak rut. For as far as rutting activity, for the beginning of peak rut all the way till the 14th, 15th, really start tailing off around here, 10th, 11th, 12th. So it's a short window. And if you think it hasn't started yet, you're going to miss it because it's already starting right now. Pre-rut lockdown's about ready, meaning there's a whole bunch of does coming in to eat and a lot of bucks get them. They don't have to move very far. But then getting that second and third doe, they only breed 2 to 4 does in the primary rut. Really important to remember that. They start moving. They're not going to move when it's high wind. They're not going to move when it's really hot. They move at night. They'll breed at night. but their daylight activity greatly suffers when there's, I mean, they still come into heat. The weather has nothing to do with pushing the deer into heat. They come into heat at the same time every year. Bottom line is, when these conditions subside, like for us, this starts on Thursday night, Friday, goes into Saturday, Sunday. By Sunday, Monday, and those temperatures dropping, it's going to be prime time. Talking the 4th of November, 5th, 6th, 7th of November. It just doesn't get any better. And then for some of you, that's pre-rut. You're down in Kansas, Tennessee, West Virginia, Arkansas, and in that line, somewhere down there, even into North Carolina. You start getting into areas. Then down the south, it's a little bit different. Deer will still be a lot more active with weather during the daylight. That doesn't have anything to do necessarily with breeding, but the breeding down there is not as concentrated as up here. Imagine how concentrated it is up in a place like Saskatchewan, the UP and Michigan where I used to hunt, where if the fawns are born early, they die. If they're born late, they die. So it's got to be really concentrated. Where it's down the south, they can be born over a 4-month time frame and still survive the following winter because there's no extremity of weather during the winter time. Major, you guys can't miss this. I'm excited about it. I hope you can see that. The timing, huge rut opportunity. Again, it's like throwing gasoline on the fire. And when it comes down to the bad days before, after, people say, well, what am I supposed to do with my vacation time? I even see people say, well, should I hunt? Should I even get out there? Yes. Hunt-wise, I believe in, I helped build that. I wrote an algorithm for Outdoor Life for the November Rut issue, the main feature article, and talked about why hunting the weather is so critical. All these same points, wrote an algorithm. They put that and infused that into HuntCast for Hunt-wise. If you guys want 25% savings, check it out in my description. Really important to do that. I believe, and that's why I talk about it so much. I'm a part of it. Hoping it's helping you guys. But bottom line is, it'll say 0% day on HuntWise. It doesn't mean you don't go hunting, it's during the rut. What I like to do is, when it comes to where to sit, I'm sitting bedding areas in the morning and I'm sitting food sources in the afternoon. Sometimes you get in that perfect X of movement where you can sit all day. The bottom line is you have to be very careful on it. Is this a bedding area, morning stand, or is this an afternoon food source stand? They should be completely apart. And that signifies when you can tell someone this is a morning stand, this is an evening stand, it tells me that your game is better than the average hunter out there. Because most hunters can't identify is this a morning stand or an evening stand. It doesn't matter if it's on public or private land. You can do both. You can do both. And so really slant your timing towards that. But then also ask yourself, is this more of an invasive morning stand near a bedding area or not? If it's more invasive, but the reward is high, I'd pick a really good weather day for that. I'd hunt off to the side in some of your lesser stands during the rut. I have this stand I've been thinking about sitting. I can get in and out pretty easy. It's a good morning stand. Go sit that one on a bad weather day. Save your best stands for the best days. Save your worst stands for the worst days. And maybe if you're wore out, just go play pool. Have fun. The bottom line is get out in the woods and hunt. Enjoy this. But this is a way to make sure, and I look at sometimes that, you go out, and I went out this morning on a warm sit and I saw 3 different bucks. And one was chasing a little guy running all over the place. And we've had daylight pictures of real nice bucks. We had a buck yesterday that was with a doe that we could see on film for about 12 hours. So you can probably guess where we're going to sit tonight. But bottom line is, there's bucks moving during the daylight, but on these warm days, it might be a 2 to 3% opportunity. Where if you hunt those cold weather days, that's why I don't want you to burn out your best stands, it's more like a 40, 50% opportunity. Because you're hunting at the right time, right conditions, right weather. This is the right weather, and it can guide you to success this weekend, but the entire season. And I hope you guys don't get sick of me talking about this weather and these weather changes. Again, that's why I helped with HuntCast through HuntWise. Check that link out in the description. Bottom line is, follow these same conditions. Look for them. Always hunt the back side of the front. That's where the priority's at. There's a little bit of minor change sometimes at the beginning. Yeah, those deer can tell something is coming. But if it's something coming really big, you'll notice they're not out in the open fields feeding. They don't want to get caught out in a blizzard. They know when not to get caught out in open areas and when to be back in the thick areas seeking protection. So slant your hunting accordingly. Plan for these great days. Plan for this giant major front. And boy, there's going to be a lot of bucks shot this weekend. It'll be a great opportunity for you. Do not miss out. This is probably the most important cold front and opportunity that we have all hunting season. I urge everyone out there to really check out my web classes. They've been wildly successful. We have one that details how you should design your land, another one that details how you should plant and maintain and manage a food plot program, How can you make those decisions that fit your land specifically and not someone else's? Unfortunately, there's so much information in the hunting industry that says you should do this, but it doesn't apply to you. These web classes directly apply to you. And then we have our third web class that came out last year, Rut web class, navigating the entire rut. And then we have our fourth one coming out, which is hunting hills and thermals. I urge you to check those out, try the web classes, and they're all about teaching, helping you understand how you can navigate, not only managing your property, food plots, and the rut, but also hunting strategically, hills, thermals, and wherever you pursue whitetails for your dream and your passion.